Right.
Definitely not my headset.
It's got to be your headset. Your headset keeps messing up anyway.
What, is it my headset?
Must be, because otherwise how would it come through to me?
No, because I've got my headset on right now where I can hear everything that is coming through my headphones. Like, I don't, I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. Okay, so essentially, we'll talk about the Xbox controllers first. The 360 controller, in my personal views, was the superior console and controller even, and still is today. I still prefer the 360 controller compared to all of the other controllers I've played with. And they said they did improvements to the 360 controller to the Xbox One controller, and they spent billions of dollars on research and whatnot, and doing different things and changing on it and whatnot. And I don't know who it was, but Review USA or something like that. I'm pretty sure Tech Tip USA, something like that. He was talking about how how if Microsoft spent billions of dollars trying to get the Xbox One controller better than the 360 controller, then it's money wasted, because I'm the same as him. In my view, the Xbox One controller sucks. Having to be able to press them bumper buttons right on the edge, don't like that, not even in the slightest. I like being able to press it anywhere I like. The triggers, they're good. I must admit, I do like the triggers, but the controller's too small. I just hit my mic. They're too small, so I can't use the triggers. They hurt my fingers to actually use the triggers, because the controller is slightly smaller, and so where I put my fingers, I end up they're not flat on it. Like the triggers go flat down the controller, and to be able to have my fingers like that, I had to hold the controller quite high up in my hand, which felt like I was going to drop it, which was no good for me to be able to play. If I was going to do some serious gaming, there would be no way. The other thing they've done is they've changed the D-pad, which everyone seems to be saying is a mile better and everything, and to be honest with you, it is better than the original Xbox One controllers, but the one I'm used to is a limited edition Tomb Raider controller, which has the rotating D-pad, and that D-pad I think is the best one. So I don't think they've made any differences there and made it any better, because I still think that one's better. I mean, the PS4 and PS3 controller D-pad is still the best D-pad out there, I think, because it's just superior, because there's not one button, it's 4 individual buttons, making it a more precision. They moved the Xbox home button, which to me was annoying, because it meant instead of being able to just move my thumb from the start button to the Xbox button, you could just press it instantly. With the Xbox One controller, you couldn't. You had to actually physically move like your whole hand away to get the actual button, which was frustrating, and I didn't enjoy it too much. And then they haven't really changed the X, Y, A, and B buttons, so they're still good, and they still work great as before. The back and start button, which are now options and whatever the heck they've called the other button, which they're in pretty much the same location, and they still work great. The controller itself
Wait,
is still kind of like bigger than the PS4 controller, which is still
what's the
good.
difference between prices?
Prices of what, the actual consoles themselves?
No, no, the controllers.
Controllers, I'm pretty sure they're exactly the same price, pretty much.
Oh, the Xbox One is £44, and the PS4 is £49. I'm guessing the extra charges and the touchpad. So I'm
So 49
thinking.
for the DualShock 4.
And then it's 44 for the Xbox One.
Oops, I've gone on the wrong one here. Yeah, and 44. Yeah, my guess is it'll be the fact that you'll get the inbuilt battery on the PlayStation 4 controller, which I'm still not a fan of. You get the charge cable with it, and it's got 6-axis, the DualShock 4 patent thing. It's not that much of a difference in price, really, is it? It's only like £5, which it's not a.
Okay, let's look at game price difference. I mean, Call of Duty Ghosts on the PS4 is 45. What's on the Xbox One? I'm guessing I'm gonna compare this to PC as well. So
Well, there's no match there. PC will win instantly.
yeah, and it's 48 on the Xbox One. So has Steam got it on sale?
What's that?
Call of Duty Ghosts.
No, it's just come off. It was on yesterday, wasn't it? Or like an
Yeah,
hour or
there's like
so.
it's like 30 odd.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
went
it's
down to like
39.99. So like, even though it's like an £8 difference, that £8 could go to another game. So like,
that £8 could go on one of the first DLCs that come out, because that'll be around about £8, £10, something like that for the DLC.
yeah, like, so Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is like £20 on Steam. It's gonna be cheaper on consoles because it's last gen.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you'd be able to get it cheaper because of the simple fact it's not download. If you wanted to download it from like the Xbox Store or something, it's about £40, so it's not cheaper that way. If you get it on disc, it's way cheaper, but I should think they probably can get it cheaper on Amazon on disc. So
Yeah, I've seen it on £10 for the PS3. So.
yeah, see, the disc
Then
is
£20 for the
different.
Xbox.
Yeah, it's always more expensive with the Xbox because there's like it's a bigger community on the Xbox for Call of Duty, kind of. So. The next thing I'll talk about is the actual PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 controllers.
Don't like the new layout of both of them.
I think
Don't
the
like
PS4 controller is better than the Xbox One controller, though, personally. The PS4 controller is slightly bigger than the PS3 controller, which was a definite plus for me.
I wasn't too bothered about the size. I mean, I've got really big hands, but still, I wasn't bothered about the size.
Well, I've got the PS3 controller here right now, and when I hold it in my hand, it's just too small. I get cramp from holding this controller, and I get cramp from holding the Xbox One controller. In fact, I got it very quick, much quicker than the PS3
The only
controller.
thing I would think is they had to improve was the thumbsticks. Probably it.
The thumbsticks, I must admit, they are better on the PS4 controller. They're still not
Yeah,
inverted.
because my thumbs like hang right over them, which is
Yeah, I still like the inverted ones. I think that inverted makes much more sense than
I guess,
the
but
other ones,
it
whatever
makes
you
your
call it.
hand kind of like offset from the, which
Well,
can be.
When they're inverted, like on the Xbox controller, it keeps my thumb actually on the actual analog stick. But when I play on the PlayStation controller, it slips off a lot because it's
Yeah.
not inverted, so therefore my thumb can't stick into it. It just kind of just.
That only
rips
really
off it.
happens in shooters for me. See, for racing games, it's perfectly fine.
I'm pretty much in all games. When I play Grand Theft Auto, racing games, Call of Duty, anything like that, because I've played them all on both different consoles and whatnot, and so it all seems to happen with me all the time. The touch button seems cool. I haven't played any games with it that it would be like
Wait, does anyone
usable.
in your family own a PS4?
No. I went into Game in town, and they had both of the consoles set up, so I was able to use the features pretty much. I must admit, I did prefer playing on the Xbox One because I'm more of a racing fan than any of the other games. The only other games really could play on the PS4 was stuff like FIFA, which I'm not a big fan on at all. So the Xbox One kind of got. I really wanted to give the Xbox One more of a good try. I tried the Xbox One 3 times, whereas PlayStation 4 only once. And the Xbox One, I ended up playing on Forza, the new one that's come out for Xbox One, and I think it's an amazing game. If I had an Xbox One, I would definitely get Forza, because it's a fantastic game. So, the triggers on the PlayStation 4 controllers are too small still, but they're better than the Xbox One controllers.
I've seen that they've got like a little lip so your fingers don't like.
Yeah, like, you can put your finger in it and everything, but like, because of the position of my fingers, they don't go there without, it feeling a bit weird, so I end up being on the end of it, which then they just slip off. So, again, they're too small, so. But it still is an improvement over the PS3 controller, where you put it down on the table, and if you just push the controller, it just presses both of the buttons, whereas on the PS4 controller, I would pretty much be happy to say that if you put it down on the table, it wouldn't do that because it's slightly flicked out the other way, so therefore it just can't really go that way unless you put down a bit of force. I'm pretty sure they changed the start button and whatnot. Let me just have a look at a picture of the controller. I'm pretty sure they changed it. Yeah, they did. And there's the start button obviously is now the options button, and the select button is now the share button, and they're now different locations as well. And I personally like those buttons now because they're not, like on the PS3 controller, they're not buttons really. They're like rubber. It feels like a piece of rubber you're pressing, which was awful. You can't use it really very well. Analog sticks, you just, hands down, much better than the Xbox One controller. Hands down, because they're not inverted, but they're like, they slightly go inverted, and then they go out again. So, which means your thumb actually does stay there, not as much as the Xbox 360 controller, but it does stay there. It does its job for long enough for you to move, because, I mean, 9 times out of 10, you lift up your thumbs from your analog sticks a lot anyway, or at least I do. I'd move them for a bit, and then as soon as I want to put it back in its reset position, I don't move it myself. I let go of it and put my thumb down again, so it's, always up and down on it. Before we finally leave on the next-gen consoles, for the last thing I'm going to say is that definitely a plus here for PlayStation in my books is that not only do you get the choice of just having a black controller, if you want to buy a second controller, you also get the official controllers coming in black, red, or blue. So there's one up. You can choose your console controller color. So, and I think
I'm not
the console
defending
comes in different
Xbox
colours as well.
here, but there are like silicon cases, but that they
Yeah, but
will
that's
like
unofficial.
yeah.
So, I mean, if they'd released that officially, then yeah, good on them, fine. They've gone ahead and make something that's, on the side, but it's not. I mean, actually, this is definitely the last thing. I'm going to close the page so then I don't look anymore. The actual PS4 controller has a little bar which shows you which colour you are of which controller you are, which is great. I like that, because it's blue for like player 1, red for like player 2 and whatnot, which I think is a really nice feature. So, but that's pretty much it from me on the next gen consoles.
Found this website, msistinks.com. Supposedly, basically they're saying MSI stinks. Like, hold on, I'll show you the site. I've heard some things about them lacking in build quality, but like their customer service is supposedly really good. Let's see what the site's about. It says, in order to avoid any possible misunderstandings, there are a couple of things that must be cleared. First of all, this website is is the initiative of one frustrated and angry former MSI customer. Okay, so someone got angry and decided to make a website about them, from what I could see. They want a boycott? What the Okay, and it's wanting to fight back. I don't see what this website's all about. Like, seriously.
No, I haven't got any idea.
I don't know. How long's this been going on for? Barely 2 hours?
We've been going now for an hour and 20 minutes. This seems a bit weird. FF
I know.
Split seems to have used 1.23 gigabytes. So I think I might switch over to this for recording gameplay. Anyway.
What about the R9 290X? What about the coolers? I've heard that EVGA's just released their ACX cooler on it, I believe. That's the one with the dual fans.
No idea, right? We're talking about AMD graphics cards now, right?
Yeah.
I have no idea about them.
Oh.
I know nothing about them because I've never really been interested because I've always preferred NVIDIA.